version of Tom's.
I didn't even know what Tom's are, so they're nice.
All right, everyone. So glad to be back. We took a small hiatus from Painting from Life. We had to go to Portrait Society, and so many other things were going on last month. It was a whirlwind. But we are so excited about being here tonight. This is our 41st one, and we've been doing this now for 5 years. This is actually, it just turned to 5 years like 2 weeks ago.
Aww.
So when we did our first
Happy
one.
anniversary.
So anyway, 5th year anniversary doing this, which we love doing it so much. Tonight we have the Miss Erica Arcudi with us today, and we also have Tina Figurelli, and we have a very, very special guest all the way from Ireland who is studying at GCA right now and was so sweet to grace us with her presence down here for a couple of days here at East Oak Studio, the lovely Fina May. So we are so excited about having her here. You should see her work. She's a very talented girl. She will be drawing this evening and joining the conversation. And on the model stand, we have Evie Erb. And then in the background, we have Sam and Emma. It's the whole crew tonight. We have a full family, and Livia is here tonight. So hopefully we'll have lots of fun conversation. Please ask us questions. And as always, we hope that we are enriching your day at your studio. Paint along with us if you want. We have reference images, as always, on our website. Just drop there's a link below. You can put your email in. And then once you have that, you'll have access to all 41 East Oak Studio Painting from Life Night reference images. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I have a few more things I'm going to work on the back end to make sure we can have a multi-view of everyone. So stay tuned to that. All right, everyone.
All right, here we go. When was the last time we did PFL? Was it March? Because we didn't do it in April. I think it was March. And I think I modeled.
I don't think I was there for that one. I think I was still traveling.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It's been a while for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the last one. I think that's the
Right?
longest time period we've been away from doing Painting from Life in the past 5
Yeah.
years. Just because it was so many things were going on this past month. My brother was having a baby, and we had Portrait Society we're getting ready for, and workshop to Scottsdale, and everybody here is working on all their projects. So, yeah, it was a lot. But we're glad to be back.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much, Evie, for posing tonight.
Yes. You have a great face, and I can't wait to paint it.
It's always fun to paint people you know.
Yeah.
There's always the pressure of painting somebody
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, it's so much more fun because you know their personality
Yep.
and can try to add that to the piece.
Definitely. Okay. I'm trying out a new medium today. When I was at Portrait Society, I picked up the lean medium bottle from Chelsea Classical Studios, which I mean is technically the same thing as I used to use, but I just make it my own. But it's basically just lavender spike oil mixed with like half linseed oil, and it smells really good. It smells very strong. So if you're not,
Are you using that instead of like alcohol?
yeah, yeah, I like it. It's not quite as slippery,
Yeah.
might be the best way to describe it. It's supposed to be like better for you, but I don't fully know.
I did
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually purchase anything at the time, but I was very interested because they were explaining how it's, you know.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like, I don't know, has less fumes, and it's supposed to be like better for you.
And it smells nice.
It does smell nice. It smells very strong. I know some people aren't
Yeah.
a fan of it.
I like lavender. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It just like reminds me of like being in the studio. 'Cause they say that
Oh, that's
scent is like the thing that connects the most to memories.
Yeah,
So I feel like for me, whenever I think of painting, I think of the smell of this lavender.
that's really sweet. No, I
Yeah.
understand that completely because, you know, sometimes I'll take out an old perfume.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you put it on and suddenly, like, you're remembering all these
Yeah.
different experiences you've had.
Yes.
So.
I remember I had this one perfume that I would wear. I think it was like a pink perfume, like Victoria's Secret or something. And I would always wear it after like school or like during school in middle school, like 7th and 8th grade. And I can't smell that perfume anymore. Just, it brings me back too much.
We have a couple of people on. The Paulo Tria, it says hi from the Philippines.
Oh, cool.
And Lozano Fine Art says, always love seeing the different starting approaches you all have.
Oh.
So, and then Vesper says, hello. Where can you buy the good brushes for decent price? Amazon is not the play for it.
Hmm.
A hard question. I do know that I don't know where this person is based, but in Ireland at least, and I'm fairly sure in the UK, and I'm not sure about other places, but there's this kind of a bit of a knick-knack shop called Sasterina Green, and they have some brushes there, and they're actually not half that bad. Now they do, I use them, and I find nothing wrong with them. The only thing you'll find, since they are very affordable, is that, you know, they do not last that long, but, you know, I do think that that's an option if that's a shop that's, you know, like, if it's available where you are. They're very cheap there, like literally like €1 for a brush or something.
I love cheap brushes. I'm not the best at taking care of my brushes, so the cheaper the better because I'll just ruin them.
So I bought these Robert Simmons Signet brushes here back in my Florence days from Jerry's, and they've held up really well. So if you like a bristle brush, these are really nice. Pricing wise, I can't remember how they compare with everything, but I'm thinking about durability. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're worth the investment. Since they last a long time, and I just wrap them. After I clean them, I wrap them in a paper towel like this, and then that keeps the bristles in shape. You can also spit on your brushes.
I've
and
heard
wrap
that.
them.
Yeah.
I do that.
I've never heard of that before.
I do it, I confess. And it keeps the bristles together. So as long as you clean them in a timely way, not use solvents when you're cleaning your brushes, because that tends to degrade the hairs. So using oil, and then I just use dish soap. That tends to help preserve them.
Yeah.
And reshaping them with paper towel, even, you know, brushes that tend to degrade, you can get a little bit of life out of them if you reshape them.
Yeah. And I would say try to find a brush company that's based in the country that you're in, because shipping is always expensive, and I'm sure that, you know, that also adds to the price. And plus, like, currency exchange can be tricky too. So find something that, you know, locally is probably going to be best, so you don't have to buy them online. But yeah, just try out some things.
That being said, I do buy like rosemary online. Like
Yeah.
I just make a bulk order
Uh-huh.
like once or twice a year, and you know, then at least shipping costs, I'm not having to pay it multiple times. At least
Exactly.
doing it
Yeah.
once.
I usually try to just hold off until we go to Portrait Society, and
Yeah.
then I'll, you know, buy all of mine there.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I wait every year and then just buy all my brushes at Portrait Society.
Because they're usually discounted too, I think.
Yeah, they're a little bit cheaper in
Yeah.
that way.
If you pay with cash, sometimes there's also a discount. Yeah, but I didn't do that this year because I didn't have any cash.
Yes, Vesper, you can. Jerry's Artorama has several different brands, I'm sure, that you could look up. I know that another brush that I like that I seem to do well, I mean, obviously most of my brushes are rosemary, but I do have a few silver brushes in Princeton. Princeton makes a really great faux mongoose that I like a lot. Their filbert mongoose brushes are really nice. They might be a little bit more pricey, but well worth it because I think they do a good job of like releasing the paint and picking up the paint.
I think I've purchased some sable brushes. I think it's Escoda, if I'm saying.
Oh, that
I'm not sure if I'm
sounds
saying
familiar.
that correctly.
Yeah.
I think it's a Spanish company. You can buy it at Jerry's online. And I've purchased sable brushes from them that I think were decent.
Antonio, yes, we are actually painting live from the model. I don't have a camera angle that is actually on the model, but you could probably see a little bit blurring the background on Erica's that she is sitting in the background. So, but we do have the reference images. So if you want to see the reference images of her, you just put your email in the link below in our description on YouTube, and there you'll be able to see the actual photos that we're using, or the actual photos of what we are seeing here. In the future, I'm going to work on making sure we have another camera on the model. We were trying to get that done today, but just for lack of time, as always, just couldn't happen quite yet. After everyone gets things blocked in, I'll start asking a few more questions and giving everyone an opportunity to kind of get the basics in for their portrait.
I was admiring the focused silence of everyone like holding their breath waiting to lock in.
Just building suspense. That's what we're all about.
So Lozano says, since we are on the topic, can you all explain y'all's process of maintaining and taking care of y'all's brushes?
I don't really have a routine. I just rinse mine in Gamsol. And I usually paint at least, well, not every day, but I paint pretty often. So my paint doesn't dry in my brushes. So I don't necessarily deal with like a lot of gunk buildup. But I know Erica takes really good care of her brushes. So she might have a better answer.
I wash my brushes every day. So after I finish, I rinse them in essentially vegetable oil. Any oil will do. But the key is if you're using a non-drying oil, you must wash them with soap and water to make sure you don't have any non-drying oils contaminating your paint.
Because then it won't ever dry.
Then it won't ever dry, exactly. So there's a bit of logic behind there.
Yeah.
But I essentially, I rinse them out just like you would do if it were Gamsol or something. You're just trying to get the pigment out of the brush, and that way it doesn't go down your drain. I just have a little jar, that I recycled and has a lid, and that way I just fill that thing with oil and it just catches all the pigment. And then I wash the brushes with Dawn dish soap. So nothing too particular, and I might do a couple run-throughs of rinsing it out, washing it again. and I find it's effective. I don't, the only thing is if I don't wash it thoroughly, then my brushes might feel kind of stiff, but that's on my end for not washing it thoroughly, and, getting all the soap out. So I wear gloves because I don't want to have any of the pigment seeping into my skin. Since I work with lead, cadmiums, etc. So, and then I wrap them like I showed before, something like this, and then I lay them flat to dry. That way, when things when they dry, you don't have any like residue or something sinking into the bottom of it, and then it allows them to stay nice and tidy and not splay so much, and then it's nicer on your brush hairs. That's what I do.
That's a good explanation. Thank you, Erica.
What I was taught back in the day.
Yeah. In fact, I've actually adopted a very similar method because of Erica. So I was doing it a different way, and I kept getting a bit of residual left over, and so I started doing the brushes that way, and it's worked ever since.
Awesome.
You've influenced him.
Oh my gosh. Am I an influencer?
You're an influencer.
You're an
Lord.
influencer.
Watch out, internet. I used to wash my brushes back in the day with essentially like mineral spirits or something, but I don't want to breathe that in as, as little. I want to breathe as little of it as possible. Even Gamsol, I just don't want to, try to use as little as possible. And so it's nicer on the brush hairs. It doesn't degrade them as quickly when you just use oil. So you could use linseed, you could use whatever, as long as you are aware that when you clean it, and if it's a non-drying oil, not to contaminate your brushes, or contaminate your painting with a non-drying oil.
And your painting is never going to dry.
Like imagine painting with olive oil and just never dries. Don't do that.
Vesper says, if mine are dry, I use acetone to get rid of the gunk. But for regular use, I use Gamsol and then finish it off with an oil medium so it'll be good for the next day or season.
Brush cleaning is the most tedious part of the painting process, especially at night when you're tired. You're like, I just want to go to bed.
Worst. Yeah.
So in those days, like, I might dip them in oil or something. But I find that if I'm using a fast drying pigment such as raw umber or cobalt blue or something, I don't want that to dry or get gunky into the was it ferrule?
The ferrule.
And I find that I'm kind of rough with my brushes, so I don't use paint just on the tip. Like I kind of get in there with it, and so it's best if I just clean them. Just
take care of them. Yeah.
Just do it. It's like 10:30 at night. I'm like still washing my brushes.
Oh,
whatever.
I admire that. I should do that.
It is probably my least favorite thing in painting. Maybe second to stretching canvas with stretcher bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I misread. I said season. My glasses are not working today. It is session.
Oh.
Is what he meant to say.
I was like, maybe he only paints in the fall or spring.
I was thinking the same. I was
know.
like, he just paints, seasonally. These are all such solid block-ins. I'm going to start asking questions if y'all don't watch out.
I'm going to mess mine up. No, feel free. I'm trying to get more practice at that, so you know.
Marcus is coming in from Atlanta saying hi. Look at these studious faces. Everybody's working so hard. Just doing a wide angle shot to show y'all's intense faces. Studying.
It's basically the most important stage.
Oh, yeah. So all of us had a really fun trip down at Portrait Society this year. If any of y'all are watching and were there, please let us know. It was so much fun. It's just the one time a year where all the artists crawl out of their caves to actually socialize with everyone else. And I think everyone's so excited about it too, because it's like, I feel like they haven't seen any of their family of painters for a year, and that's usually when they get to see them. So it's like a big reunion every year. So it was a lot of fun this year. For some reason, I think even more so than years in the past. I don't know why. I think they had it ran so smoothly, and a lot of the demonstrations and things were really good. So, Alyssa's joining us from Australia, one of our favorite devoted fans. Appreciate you joining. And then we have Anne Britt. I'm not even going to try. Farmer from Sweden coming in. And Marcus says the conference was amazing. So.
Mm-hmm. The conference was amazing. It was very tiring, but in a good way.
And Michael Allen says, yeah, it was my first year this year, and I loved meeting everyone.
Aww.
It is a lot of fun. Artists are just so approachable, and I think that's one of the great parts of it. If you love a certain painter and they're coming to the conference, all of them are often very, very, very approachable and happy to answer questions or talk to you. So if you haven't gone, you must go in the future.
Yeah, next year it's going to be in DC, so hopefully we'll see some people there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've never done before, and I'm planning next year.
Yeah.
To be my first. I'm very excited because I admittedly would say it was just not on my radar before, and I wasn't aware it was such like the scale of the event. But I'm definitely looking forward to it now.
Yeah, I think you'd really enjoy it. It is kind of like really eye-opening to see how many people that are there that speak your language. And yeah, you can be like, oh, do you know this person? Like in their work. I'm like, yeah, I know that person. It's really cool.
There's nothing nicer than that, or being able to discuss things without having to double down and kind of explain what they are, if you know what I mean.
All right, everyone, that is our first break. We will be back shortly, so come with your questions, and we'll be happy to answer them, or any interesting topics of conversation. So we'll be back in just a bit. All right, everyone, we are back. Does anyone have any thoughts on the portrait of Charles III?
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
I don't have an opinion on it, but I do like hearing other people's opinions on it. Because I get why people are like either or they kind of like it.
This is the one with
Yeah.
the red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks kind of scary, which I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I would say no, considering.
I like it as an art piece way more than I like it as like a portrait of someone.
Yeah. And that might be what the artist was kind of going for, was that idea, but I totally know what you mean. It does, I mean, obviously he did it in a way that seems very intentional, but it might not necessarily be my taste.
Yeah.
So especially if I want, now they get their portraits done a lot. So this, I don't know what kind of official portrait this is. Let me just take off this, just notice we still have the caption up. But at the same time, I would not want it to be necessarily an official portrait that would be hanging in, you know, one of the major places wherever they go, you know,
Yeah.
in the palace or Parliament or wherever.
Did you know that Charles paints watercolors?
Really?
No.
That's cool.
He should have done his own portrait. See how that would
be
do a
interesting.
self-portrait.
Yeah, I think regardless of, like, take away, looking at it objectively as a painting and taking away who he is, I do think the usage of red is very jarring.
Yeah.
It is. Red is a very strong pigment. It's very bright. And I do think that, I wonder whether there was intention or no intention behind that.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it's a curious choice. I'm not sure how I feel about it, like, honestly, at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very emotionally evocative, but you have to wonder if it was like the emotion he was going after, or what was he going after?
Yeah, like I'm surprised that they like picked that artist
Yeah.
to do that. I'm sure they like, I don't know how his style is, but I mean, they kind of had to know what they were getting into, I would assume. If you look at the unveiling video, when he takes off like the drape, it kind of looks like he like flinches when he sees it,
Yikes.
which is, I mean, I don't know if that would be the way I would want the person I painted to react, but maybe that's kind of the reaction that the artist wanted.
Hannah says, I figured out how to use chat. Love meeting all of you in Atlanta. So grateful you do these. So sorry, the thing went up. Do these so we all can enjoy your art. It was lovely meeting you too, Hannah.
Hannah. Sounds familiar.
Hannah was with Rachel and Emily Fossum. She had dinner with us the first night.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Aw, she's so sweet.
Vesper says, it's so funny how a color can make everyone freak out, talking about the portrait.
Yeah.
He also says, my grandpa painted a family portrait of Reagan, but it's probably in a museum somewhere. Last name is Silva.
Interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting to find out more about that. So we have somebody coming in from Omaha.
Welcome from Omaha.
Alyssa says, hi, Lewis. Is there anywhere we can view a current East Oaks calendar that shows us when the PFL seasons are? I'm also, I almost missed this morning as it's just popped up on my feed. That would be terrific. Yes, we are working on getting a calendar. We had one at one point, but I was going through a season of having to get a lot of portraits finished, and we were trying to get everyone, we redid the studio space downstairs, and so there was a season where we didn't have a lot of content being made. So we didn't create the calendar because of that reason, but now we're getting a lot more on the books, and so we'll be probably making a calendar soon. But the best way, obviously, is with our email blasts, and so we're working on that system as well so that we can get them out earlier. But that's good feedback. Oh, and Michael said, I sat right next to you at that dinner. He's laughing. So that was Michael right next to us with the amazing, amazing beard.
Yes. Okay.
Michael, it's good to see you. I couldn't remember your last name, so glad you said that.
Yes, Michael, that was also, he was referred to as Tim at one point. Do you
Yes.
remember that? There was like that
Tim.
little joke. Michael, yes.
You will forever now be known as Tim/Michael.
But now we won't forget, because now we have that to remember him by.
So we have an interesting question. If you guys could name a single contemporary artist as your favorite, who would you choose? It's a hard question.
Tough question.
I can't think of a single one at the moment now.
Yeah, I
All
was
of them are
just thinking.
gone.
This is the thing. We talk about this a lot. As soon as someone goes, who's your favorite artist? Like my mind goes blank because I have like a million favorite artists, but at the same time, I can't think of a single one when somebody asks to me.
I really like Paul Raymond Seaton. I don't know anything about this man because he has like no Instagram presence. I don't even know if he has a website, but I know that he shows with Collins and his floral paintings are amazing.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, so he's someone that whenever I see like Collins galleries post the painting, like, oh, I really love that one. So he's definitely one of mine.
I'm like thinking there are many people I enjoy, but like so many people.
I know.
And then I know people, and so I'm like, who do I pick? Stress.
I feel like also it's hard to pick a favorite because I feel this too with like when I'm listening to music and stuff, but I'll have like certain moods and some days I prefer this type of art and sometimes I'll prefer this type, like these type of paintings, and sometimes I want to look at someone who just does drawings, or you know, sometimes I'm looking at florals, sometimes I'm looking at beautiful narrative paintings, and I guess it depends and it changes, and but it's nice that there's so many amazing talented painters out there.
Yeah. That we have access to and we can
Exactly.
actually like communicate with them.
Absolutely.
Can't believe none of us said Lewis Carr. My
How could we
favorite.
forget?
The goat.
Yeah, greatest of all time. Are you blushing back there?
Oh, I am. My head's going to be really hard to fit through the door. Alyssa says, besides everyone on screen at the moment and Lewis off screen, my current favorites are, is it Alia Chapman and Frances Bell?
Oh yeah. Frances is so sweet.
Yes, she is.
So sweet.
I do love her paintings.
It was amazing to watch her paint. She painted at the Paint Off this year at Portrait Society, and it was so lovely to watch her paint because I think a lot of people were very curious about how she created her soft edges in her work,
Yeah.
how she abbreviated most of the things in her portrait. So she did an excellent job. Scott Jones just joined and says, "Hi there, at the bus stop picking up my granddaughter, and then we'll be back to drawing." Yes, I figured I would give it a shot. Started drawing on the way home from the conference.
Oh,
That's awesome to
wow.
hear, Scott.
That's great. I know he was taking up watercolor, but I didn't also know that he was adding drawing. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. So we talked about this a lot when he was here at East Oaks. We also remember him telling a story about one of his watercolors when he was much younger is at his school. Do y'all remember this story?
Yeah.
And he tried to find it again. It was, if I remember correctly, it was like of like the arches in the desert or something.
I remember something.
Right? Yeah. So it was a great story.
Yeah, and it's like he can't find it. Like someone took it home, like one of the teachers, and he like doesn't know where it is anymore.
Yeah, and it also was like licensed to be one of the paintings that was on like the local news channel or
Yeah,
something, which
the
was really
logo
cool.
or something. Like they
Yeah.
had used it a lot. Aw.
I just says digitally, I love the work of Piotr Jablonski, a tradition, and Alex Venezia for normal painting.
I always
Jeff
enjoy
Larson on the list. Oh, go ahead.
Mark D'Alessio's landscapes. Just wherever
man.
he goes, painting all sorts of cool stuff. I always feel like I can walk into them, but they feel like paintings too. You know, it's not just like, so realistic that like you can tell it's paint, but
Yeah.
you're getting really the feel of the scene. Big fan.
Love
Yeah.
that. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's one of the newer people I feel like Arcadia kind of picked up. He's Ukrainian.
Andriy.
Yes,
I
Andriy.
think I know the one
Yes.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Helena, yeah.
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 Is that his wife? I think
They're
she's
great people.
Yeah.
They're Florence Academy people, right, Erica?
No, they're not students, but they're in our circle.
In her circle, in the
Ah,
Florence
his
circle.
work is
Gotcha.
beautiful.
So
I mean, hers
stunning.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
they're,
both are
they're
incredible.
such kind people.
Aw, it's always good to hear. Yeah, I love their work. Whenever they post, I get excited, which I think is really cool that we can have contemporary artists that still are creating new work in comparison to like historical artists where we kind of already know what they've done and they're obviously not creating anything new.
Jeff Larson said, Marcus said, Jeff Larson is on my list and just watched the short documentary on him. Yes, we're quite proud of that. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. So Emily Fossum just commented, drawing is the way to go. Glad to pick it up again, Scott.
Hi, Emily.
So Hannah says, when working from a photograph, what is your process from photograph to canvas, i.e. thumbnails, value, or color studies?
I'm team color study till the day I die. I think they're so helpful. I don't do like thumbnails studies or anything. What I usually do is just crop the image a bunch of different ways and kind of see how I like the composition. And then I'll do a color study of that, but not so much focusing on the composition, just more so the color.
Marcus also says Cesar Santos. I think he also has a Florence residence or
He
something.
was at Angel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he lives in Florence though.
Yeah, that's what I meant. A Florence resident.
Yeah.
As of right now, maybe.
He is one of the first people that I kind of found when getting into like classical realism because he has a big YouTube channel. Does a bunch of videos on. So he was kind of like my intro, which is really cool.
So Alyssa says, Lewis, that was a tantalizing hint about Frances Bell's edges. Can you speak about how you saw her achieve those? Well, it was one of those things where I was walking around quite a bit because there's like 25 different artists painting, and all at the same time. And I get swept away in conversation quite a bit. And so I didn't get to like really study. I think that I know that Chelsea Langs was at her location a lot and was asking lots of questions. But anyway, aside from that, I don't know necessarily how she was achieving it. I do know that she was using quite a few like eclipse brushes and softening things down. And I also know that she, I think, was using like, somebody made a comment, I think it was Chelsea, that she actually was using real turpentine.
Mm-hmm.
And and so I wonder if that actually played a role in how it was softening things in her work. You know, maybe the properties chemically make it have a certain control that she's looking for to soften things.
Yeah, you can smell it when you walked by. Marshall Bolden was also using it, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, and that would be
Or-
Jason.
no, Jason.
His son.
Yeah.
Mhm.
His dad was Marshall, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If he was there painting, everybody would be running out of the room scared. You know? So Marshall and Jason were my role models growing up. They're from my hometown, and they are who really inspired me to be a portrait painter. And this is the first time Jason Bolden has come to one of the portrait conferences in quite a few years. So he was at the Paint Off and also did several breakout sessions. But Jason won the grand prize, I think in 2002 or 1. And then Marshall was one of the gold medal winners of sort of their Lifetime Achievement Award back in 2010. So very inspiring people. But yes, he definitely uses real turpentine or odorous mineral spirits. That's what I first started using because of his recommendation. Vesper says, I want to see Cesar Santos go back to portraits. He also says, on that note, I struggle with switching between being looser with edges. I tend to make them hard, and it loses the illusion of the portrait. I need to also paint without black. LOL. Yeah, I think one of the harder things in painting is understanding how Erica says it best from Florence Academy, how to be soft but specific with your edges.
Maureen Hyde, shout
There
out.
you go. That is a Maureen Hyde quote that we use here often because it I think really accurately describes what you have to achieve with soft edges. It can't be just that it's soft, but that in the softness, the drawing is still clear. And that's where the challenge is in the world of painting.
What am I doing?
I'm right there with you.
So Fina, tell us, I want to know, I'm sure the audience is interested in knowing a little bit about your story of how you got to GCA.
Okay.
And, I found that really interesting this morning when we were talking about it.
Yeah. I have to say thank you for such a lovely welcome. I was like, oh, do I say thank you now or a bit later? But so I have loved drawing and I loved art my entire life, and I knew that was something that I always wanted to do, as many people go through the same experience. And I had no idea what an atelier was, or I was not introduced to academic art at all. I didn't know it as a concept, and I did grow up in a very small town in Ireland as well. So there was no opportunity for me to discover these things, and also like Instagram was not as useful as it is today. I think when it comes to connecting with people at the time. So it was actually the artist Molly Judd. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, my sister's friend was sitting for one of her as a model for her, and recommended me because they knew I liked art. So I was like, yeah, this is great. I get to meet a real painter. So I did, and I had the most wonderful time. She's honestly such a lovely person, and during that like short session I spent with her, because I didn't spend much, like a very long period of time. It was actually just one day, and she shared so much knowledge with me, and she told me all about ateliers. She told me how I could start. I remember she gave me these like laminated printouts of bargs, and I still have them to this day. That she told me, okay, start on these, and I did. And obviously I went home, and I'm pretty sure that happened in 2016. So I was 16, and I was like, oh, this is the best. I was just enamored, and I like went and I was looking up all the different like areas and locations that they're based. As far as I know, and I'm fairly certain there's no place in Ireland that is an equivalent to an atelier. The closest place to us is in the UK, which, you know, it's still far away. And there's Florence, and there's also, I'm not sure if Barcelona was open at the time. I'm not entirely sure. And there was also GCA. And I had been like saving up, but it did feel like a bit of a pipe dream for me, because especially in Ireland, you don't have to pay, well, you pay a little bit, but you don't really have to pay for a university. You pay like a student contribution fee, and that's it. So the idea of spending money on a tuition was like, no, I can't do this. I can't ask my parents for it either. Like, because it's so much money, and it's not the norm. It's not what I was used to. So I went and I did 1 year in an art university in Dublin, and at the end of that year, I just knew I've never felt a stronger inclination to do something and succeed than I did when I came to the end of that year. I was like, okay, I'm not staying here. So I dropped out. I changed my degree, and I decided, okay, I'm going to get something I'm good at and I can tolerate. I'll do a degree in that, and I'll work. I'll get a job in that, and I'll save up and I'll go to GCA. So that's what I did. I actually studied literature and writing, and I was working during my degree. It was quite curious because I actually I did an online university after I dropped out because I wanted to work at the same time. And then obviously COVID came around, and all the universities went online, and it was like, oh, well, this is no different for me. I'm already used to all of this. And I was also working remotely, so that was good. And eventually in 2021, I got, I got accepted into GCA for the drawing year, and I went there for the drawing year. And it was incredible. Like, it was also my first time living away from home, and I'm a bit of a shy person. I'm also a bit anxious. I'm a homebody, and I also came from a tiny little town in Ireland, so you can imagine what I was like. I had no idea what to do, and I learned many life experiences that year. Eventually, the next year, I did go home, and I did save up some more. I just had a little bit of time in Barcelona Academy. Trying to think of a timeline here. I feel like my after the next year, my perception of years are skewed. I'm like, which year was that? It was one of the 22s. But anyway, so then for this year, I started in September, so 2023. That's when I went back to GCA to do my painting year. And I'm just coming to the end of it now. I'll be finishing up next week actually. It's very, very soon. And I'm very grateful to be able to be here and to spend some time with the wonderful people here. It's honestly been such a lovely day, and I've enjoyed every moment of it so far. And I'm still enjoying it, doing these drawings.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We that was kind of going a little bit over our break. So we just have no. That was what we wanted. That was perfect, because that allowed you to be able to talk about your story without having to concentrate too heavily on the drawing. We have 1 minute left. We might just take one quick moment of silence so I can work on a few things, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back. We had Michael asked, what surface are you drawing on, Fina?
So I'm drawing on, it's the Artistico Fabriano paper. I think it's the heavier weight, the 300. That one.
Yep.
And I do believe that I toned this either with some kind of, I do love toning paper, and it's really nice to experiment. I do find that if you're going to be toning paper, you do need the heavier papers. This is the hot pressed paper. I also love the Arches hot pressed paper. I love that paper as well. I find that they're quite pillowy to draw on, which sounds a bit funny, but you'll notice it. Like it's not slippery. Like if you think a piece of computer paper, it's like very slippery. Like, you know, nothing adheres. But with these, it really does. And yeah, I'm not sure if this was some kind of random ink I had, or it might have been walnut ink. I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes I have mixtures and I just mix them up, depending how I feel. And you really need only like a tiny little bit. Some people are really interested in having like a really uniform toned piece of paper, like no imperfections at all. I actually love when there is random bits and pieces. Like for me, honestly, this piece is pretty uniformly like toned. Usually I like it when there's also like kind of lines you can see from the brush strokes. So it's really nice to experiment. You just have to make sure that you don't use too much water and put them somewhere appropriate to dry. And if you're having trouble with the paper, like carbon, then if you have something flat and heavy like a book, you can just leave it under there, and generally that'll do the trick, and you'll have something you can draw on. And if not, then there's always tape, so you just tape it to your boards.
There you go. Yeah, I love Fabriano paper. I love the description of it being quite pillowy. That describes it quite well.
You really notice the difference after you've been drawing on something else, and you come back to this and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. You really do.
It's amazing different surfaces that you can use too, because I'm like you. I love the friction that you have in that paper. For some reason, it feels like it helps me have control.
Yeah.
Whereas Jeff Hine, for example, will paint all of his graphite drawings are done on Bristol board, which is just the opposite. It is completely slick. It's like painting on poster. And he achieves just amazing drawings with the Bristol board. And there's several other major painters that have used Bristol in the past as like their main form of drawing. So it just goes to show that it's not necessarily the surface that matters. It's how you conduct yourself on the surface. You know, it definitely adds to, or it influences the effect, but at the same time, it is worth experimenting to find what surface works well for you.
That's reminding me of Amaya's work and looking at her experiments that she has on her inspiration boards, which you can get a peek at on social media. Sometimes she shares those.
It's incredible.
And then the textures that she's able to achieve, but they're in drawing with hatching, is just so inspiring. So I was thinking of what you're talking about, plus the previous question of favorite artists, and Amaya's work is just so stunning.
I have to agree with you there, 100%. She posts some just really beautiful, insightful things sometimes on her stories. And when you do catch them, you're just like, oh. There was a lovely way she described graphite at some point, and I'm probably saying this, like misquoting this completely, but it was like, she was describing it of like how silvery it is.
Yes.
And I just thought it was really beautiful, and it's exactly how I feel about it actually.
I took a drawing workshop with her during COVID, so it was online, and I just loved hearing her insights. But she was talking about, for example, with graphite, you know, many people often don't like how shiny it is, but that's actually something that she thinks is cool about the material, and then wants to like lean into the different surface qualities that, or surface sheens that these materials have. And I just love where it's like, instead of fighting it and trying to force it to not be itself, she's like enjoying it for its character and utilizing it.
Exactly.
Where I just was so inspired by so much of what she had to say.
Yeah, I truly believe she's one of the best draftsmen in the contemporary world, for sure. And part of what I love about her that I think that everyone should continue to do is never stop experimenting and exploring, because I really believe that a lot of people enjoy art because of the discovery of it, and you lose sight of that when you're trying to master some aspects of painting and get really skilled in some areas, which is very, very important. However, for that not to also distract you from the idea that you should be experimenting till the very last day, because if you look at people like Rembrandt, for example, who his work changed significantly over his lifetime and was always fascinated and interested in new mediums, understanding how things work, using different properties, like you were just saying with graphite, for example, to take advantage of a particular property that some people might consider a handicap, and using it in a unique way to describe something. Never stop being fearful that you're like going to change your style or anything like that, that your identity is going to go out the window. Because if you look at all the great painters, not only today, but in the past, all of them continue to experiment throughout their life.
I could tell too from how she described her process in this workshop that she just found so much joy in the search and experimenting, and she kind of loving all the materials that she got to play with and discover their characters. And so I think that can apply to a lot of what we do.
Yeah. Fernando Gut says, "Hi everyone, I feel a little reflected with the life story of Fina. I live in Chile and there are no ateliers here that I can learn classical realism." So, and this is professionally only art schools at universities. Right now I'm looking for an atelier for the next year, and Barcelona Academy seems like a good place to me, but I must confess that GCA would be a dream. Fernando, we appreciate your comments. I think that most any place that you can find a good community is a great starting point. And if you have the ability to go to Barcelona, that would be that's amazing. I also know it's about your environment and making sure that you're in a good place where you can learn a strong skill set, but also where you feel not only, make sure that you're in a place that always keeps inspiring you. So, and I don't know much about Barcelona's atelier that's there, but I will say that GCA was very helpful and influential in getting my skill set where it needed to be and my technical ability to be much sharper. So, but there are many, many out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that, there's no right place. Like, obviously there's a right place for every person, but you can't say one is better than the other, because you have to find somewhere that you're with a group of people that really inspire you, and there's like a really positive energy cultivated just around work, painting and learning and having a desire to grow. I think because there's amazing painters coming out of both, all ateliers, you know, all of them do. So, you know, there's not a perfect, you could never say one is perfect over the other. And both and all are good choices. And I think what is paramount is that you need to find somewhere that works for you and that you feel comfortable in, and you're able to do your best. Somewhere that, you know, in all ways you feel fulfilled and like propelled to keep learning and to keep growing. I think that's really, really important. Above all, like, just as you were saying about communities, I think that finding the right people and surrounding yourself with them is one of the most important things you can do, because it is the people in our lives that do, they do, you know, our experiences with them, that changes us. So yeah, that's what I think.
That's really good. Edward also asked, Edward, I don't know if you were here earlier, but he was also asking about the new portrait of the king and our thoughts. So we discussed it a little bit earlier about that subject. So maybe after the live stream, you can go back and check that out. But basically, we were just saying that maybe not as a portrait was our favorite thing, but as a intentional work of art that he's trying to make a statement about seems very intentional. So Emily says, well, I keep jumping in and out from the stream because I'm at Maddox's baseball game, and it's amazing to see the jump in all of your progress. So much is happening. These are looking beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Emily. We need her here for moral support more often.
So one thing we were talking about earlier is we were just talking about our experiences at GCA, and one of the things that was interesting to say is that we were, you know, when we were both there, you know, the instructors, because they're going around to a lot of people, there's only a certain amount of time that you'll have with each instructor. And this is the important thing about community, is because what would end up happening for us is the way we really learned is that we would share notes between each of us as students with what the instructor was talking about with each of us. And it was a compounding effect that allowed for all of us to learn even more from like the, you know, the smaller amounts of time that you do when you're logging hours at GCA. But if you're comparing notes from all the other people who were getting critiques, then all of a sudden you get a very large spectrum of understanding, where if second to just the amount that you might have received from just yours. So that's the power, I think, of cross-pollination and communication with a community of people. So what makes any of these ateliers work really well is the fact that people are sharing notes willingly and trying to learn together. And I think at its healthiest and best is when people are inspiring each other in a healthy way of competition, where they want to be better because they see their classmates learning and achieving certain things, and that inspires them to get excited to do the same. So
I'm reflecting back on all the times I eavesdropped on just the critiques next to mine.
Yeah.
And I never painted really, like never really oil painted before I went to Florence Academy. And so it wasn't so much like sneaking in on somebody's critique. I just didn't know anything. So I just was so excited to gain some information. And so I found it really helpful that even if I wasn't at that step necessarily to apply the information that they were talking about in their critiques, I found it cool to know like, oh, this is where I am going in the future.
Yeah.
Or new things to, plant seeds for in the future. I found that really
A
helpful.
little sneak peek.
Here's also the fun thing. I don't know if y'all are like this, but this is definitely me. Whenever we'd be like in the room with the model and the critique was happening, like, a few people down from you, and you're drawing or painting on the face, and they're talking about the knee or something. All of a sudden you start going straight down to the knee and you're checking your knee and you start like going over everything and you're like, okay, do I have that in? Do I have this in? Okay, what does this look like? And, I mean, inevitably, you even try not to do that, but then like inevitably my mind would go straight to the knee or whatever it was they were talking
Like,
about.
how's my knee looking?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, why'd you change the knee? It was working.
Yeah, exactly. Then they come over and they're like, oh, this knee is all wrong. And you're like, oh, man. So we have someone who says, hello, everyone. I finally had a chance to join you live. One question: to give the impression of an experienced painter, a man can wear a beret or grow a beard, but is that right?
Beret.
Sorry, everyone. I actually have a small reading disability, so if every now and again I might say something wrong. Beret or grow a beard. But what are the options for women?
I'm not sure.
A fun hat? Maybe it's not a beret?
You can shave off your head and get a shitload of tattoos.
There you go.
There you go. So that was shave off your head and get a lot of tattoos. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the question though? Like what?
Like
Like how to look like a legitimate artist.
If you
to
can't grow a
give the
beard.
impression of an experienced painter.
Yes.
A man can wear a beret and grow a beard. But what are the options for women?
You can also wear a beret. I feel like that will be a cute look.
Yeah, actually. I've never thought of that. I've never thought, looked at myself in the mirror and thought, oh God, you do not look experienced.
We don't need it.
Yeah.
No, I think some sort of smock situation,
Yeah.
apron
Yeah.
vibes.
Some paint-stained pants or something.
As long as you have paint on your clothing, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe no paint on your clothing because you're that good.
Well, oh yeah, you're right.
Ooh.
You're right.
Could be either.
I will say that one thing I've experienced is sort of the lack of the artistic trope of something like that in our world. When you've been in the world for a long time, you realize that people have all sorts of identities, very, very distinct and very interesting. And some people, their identity and what they wear and what they do is part of their brand. I think of Teresa Oaxaca and Shane Neal, and where that is truly them. That they're not just putting on a front. That is what they wear every day, all day long, when they're painting, when they're not painting. But it also is a deep sense of their identity. Whereas then, at first I remember getting a bit self-conscious when I was at GCA, because a lot of people were sort of into the Bohemian look where, you might have had that like hipster vibe. And I come in, walking in like Nike shorts and Nike top, all athletic wear with like a cap turned backwards, and that was not necessarily the continuous vibe that was happening across the board at the time. But then you start realizing when you get into the art world, everyone has very different and very unique identities of how they want to dress and appear. And that's kind of the beauty of having that artistic license, right? you can really make any kind of statement you want to make that is truly your identity.
Yeah. I remember in my art school, Doc Martens, you had to have a pair of Doc Martens or else you weren't an art student. So.
I also think about like the New York culture as a whole. When I remember you just like walk down, the street in Manhattan, and everyone for the most part is wearing like a black or gray pea coat, in the winter, and everything was like black and gray when we were there, and it might still be the case, but it's fun to experiment with trying to wear something that you just absolutely love or comes natural or what feels comfortable to you. And so to this day, I still wear athletic clothes a lot because, I definitely get hot very, very easily, and it allows for me to stay cool. And that's just kind of like part of how I paint.
I laugh because in second year in Florence, there was a time where I think we weren't consciously doing this, but I think everybody wore like some grungy flannel.
Yeah.
I think we all took a photo together. Somebody has it. And we all ended up just wearing something you could get paint on, and usually, something dark colored. But I think the key was that you could get paint on it, and it wasn't
Right.
inhibiting your, painting. You could just paint and not worry about it. Yeah.
I always look at like Shane Neal, and I never wear like an apron or a smock usually. And so like when I look at somebody like Shane who wears a tie and a button down every day while he paints, and now he wears like, his own sort of smock apron type thing on top of it. But number one, I'd get too hot. But I'm always inspired. It's like what I would think would be cool to wear,
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I wish I could do that,
You can.
Yes, I can, but I would just burn up too quickly. I'd get way too hot. It'd be like,
cut the sleeves off.
Yeah. That would be a whole nother look. We'd be going back to like the 80s looks, And Emily Fossum said, for a few years, I wore a beret like all the time.
Love that.
Yeah. There's a cute picture of Kristen Yen when she was very, very young painting, like when she was like 8 or 9, and she's wearing a beret while she's painting.
I remember that picture.
Marcus says, do like Michael Moore, just like he wears a hat that says director on it at all times. Just get a hat or a T-shirt that says artist or painter.
Love that.
Don't one of you have a T-shirt that just says art?
Oh, that's me.
Erica was wearing that a few days ago. So
It was a gift
Aww.
from my brother.
that's awesome. All the people here dress so well when they come to paint, I will say. Each one of you have definitely your own identity in what you wear.
I like
I
to
love
look cute
that.
when I paint. I feel like I paint better if I wear a cute outfit.
I agree entirely. I love wearing pretty dresses.
Mm-hmm.
I must admit, when I've been in the studio at GCA, I absolutely have not been wearing that because it's a New York and
Yeah.
I don't want things to get messy, and especially when you're in a shared studio space like that.
Oh yeah, there's just
Multiple people have been cycling through your spot, not only your spot, but maybe the easels, the chairs, the everything that you've been using. So there's a much higher likelihood of you getting some kind of paint, oil, like something else on your clothes. And so I just haven't been wearing things, but generally, like today, I'm finally wearing a nice dress. And you know what? I'm a firm believer that, you know, you have to bring joy into the small things in life. Like, if you have to bring joy into every little like part of your daily routine that you can, and it will make your day 1% happier. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up. It really does. And all of that's going to contribute to you making better art, because I do not believe that suffering creates art. I mean, generally, as you're in the, like, speaking now, like, I think it's good to be healthy, and I think it's good to get enough sleep, and I think it's good to look after yourself and be your best condition.
Support you.
In that kind of way. And I think that's productive.
Mm.
And sometimes that means wearing the clothes that you like. Yeah. You know?
In fact, I think there was a couple of people earlier that were just complimenting on your outfit this evening, Fina.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
I do think there's something to dressing however it is, but putting yourself together for the day, like to feel professional, and it can be however you want it to be. But
Exactly.
Emily says, now I like to wear dresses that I feel belong in a beautiful piece of art. Good things drawing is less messy than paints.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I like that the freedom of outfit choice / persona as an artist compared to like being in the medical field. Marcus says he sometimes thinks about getting Middle Eastern garb. Looks super comfy in the summer.
True.
Honestly, I can't deny that I've had that thought before too. You know, where you see people in Dubai and they're like wearing those like, you know,
Very
linen
flowy,
long, flowy things. I'm like, yeah, that feels a bit freeing.
Yeah. Very
Might be
breathable.
nice,
I feel like it'd be nice to take an afternoon nap in that.
Yeah.
right? Exactly. It'll almost feel like I never got out of like a robe or nightgown. You know. Sam Newton says, "Oh, you ladies inspire me. I wear a lovely apron that I wipe my brush on regularly."
Convenient. I like that. Those birds are really singing outside
I
I
the
was
was
just
studio.
thinking that. I was just
I
thinking
wonder if
myself.
they can hear it.
That is our sweet, wonderful Carolina wren that we have a whole family of around this neighborhood. In fact, several of the eggs hatched in my garage.
This year?
Not this year.
Oh.
This year I made sure that the garage door stayed closed, because as soon as they started building a nest and they laid the eggs, I felt guilty. So I would always have to make sure that the door was open in the morning and stayed open the rest of the day.
Aw.
And I was like, I can't do that again this year. So I saw one trying to like get ready to nest, and he was like, you know, eyeing the garage. I was like,
looks
no,
a good spot.
not this year. Not this year. You can find another tree.
Oh.
These are turning out great, you guys. Girls.
You're starting to sound kind of Midwestern. You said you guys, not y'all.
I
Oh
know.
my God.
It's all of your influence, Tina.
I'm rubbing off on you. It's my goal all along.
I'm starting to say baxes now instead of boxes.
Dad, bag.
Bag. Wish Fina was here longer to influence us on a bit of Irish
Oh
accent.
my God, I love your accent.
Oh,
by
it
the
is
way.
lovely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so cute.
I actually don't think I have a very strong Irish accent. I feel like, compared to some other Irish people, I did spend a bit of time in the UK, so that's if you ever hear a twang of like, oh, that kind of sounds a bit British, then that's probably it. But I grew up my entire life in Ireland. In Ireland.
You know, it's amazing that you lost that because I feel like people that are in more rural communities, the accent is a bit deeper. Is that the same in Ireland?
Yeah, absolutely. There is many accents in Ireland. Like the smallest of towns will have their own accent. Like
Wow.
seriously, yeah.
I think that's so cool.
That is pretty cool.
It is.
I remember years and years ago, I was at Disney World and met a family from Ireland, and I truly almost could not even decipher what they were saying because it was
Yeah.
so thick.
I'm sure, yeah.
But I thought it was the coolest thing at the same time.
Oh.
It also reminds me when I lived in Italy, I had one of my really close Italian friends come over, and we watched the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And the people in that show have an extremely strong country and southern accent in the film. And I looked over to him, and he spoke perfect English, had been to the U.S. many times. And I was like, he kind of had a confused look in his face. I was like, you following it okay? And he's like, I don't know a single thing that these people are saying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's how I felt about Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to have the subtitles on because I was like, I
No
don't
way.
know what you're saying
That's
right
nice.
now.
Oh.
Have you seen that show?
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Of course.
It's funny because we started doing subtitles. I think it might have been Peaky Blinders that started it, but now that's been sort of the gateway drug. We do subtitles for everything now.
Yeah,
Oh.
same. How are we on time?
Oh my goodness. I think we could take a break.
I was like, it feels about 20 minutes. You're doing
Sorry.
great, by the way.
If anyone wants to tip the model for maybe some extra time that she was just sitting up there. Everyone, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Thank you so much. We'll be back in just a minute. Okay, everybody, we are back. It's so funny, on our 5-minute conversation, we got on the subject of European sweets versus U.S. sweets, and I was just making a comment about Percy Pigs, which is a British. It's an actually grocery store, correct? It's a particular grocery store that is
Marks
one of
and
their brand.
Spencer's.
Yeah, Marks and Spencer's. So kind of like how Trader Joe's has their own brand of different things. Anyway, they have this like special sort of gummy. It's like a gummy bear, but it doesn't taste anything like one. But it's a similar texture. But anyway, we're just getting on the topic of people's favorite sweets. So y'all have to let us know what some of your favorites are.
Must I choose?
Exactly. We were also talking about what got it kicked off this whole thing is that there are, in Europe, there are Easter eggs that are chocolate eggs that are huge, that they're the size of almost an American football, you know.
If not larger.
If not larger, yeah, exactly. I when I lived in Italy, I absolutely experienced these. So anyway, we're talking about just fun memories like that. So Mustafa joined, says East Oaks Studio is hiring celebrities to model.
Aww. Hi,
great.
Mustafa.
I agree with you there.
Yes. And she's doing amazing,
Yes.
Yes.
like a statue.
Mm-hmm.
You say that as I'm checking mine.
See? But that's why you're a good model. So you're making sure you're in position.
You really are doing great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's not an easy thing to do modeling.
Mm.
I've sat for a portrait a couple of times, and my biggest issue is, aside from the dead legs you get from sitting in like one position for a long time, I get very sleepy,
Oh.
and I'm always falling asleep.
Yeah.
And, especially if you're sitting for a portrait, that's hard because that does throw a lot of things off because you forget that like your eyelids and everything, like those clothes.
So I don't know if this model is around anymore, but when I was at GCA, there was an older gentleman. He had really long hair, and I would say he was probably close to somewhere in early 80s, and really awesome physique to paint. And in order for him to stay awake, because he had the same issue, he would bring hot peppers and eat them to make him uncomfortable. In order to stay awake.
The dedication.
This guy was very dedicated. I mean, the great thing about GCA is they have some models there that are incredibly dedicated models. But he was, pretty much a professional model. That's all he did. So he would just do sort of the model circuit in New York because there's so many art schools. And that's how he would keep himself awake in the whole time.
Wow.
Because it's hard, it's difficult. I remember one time modeling and I almost felt like I was about to fall asleep.
Gotta get me some hot sauce.
There you go.
I feel like I'd just be like, my nose would be running and I would be like sweating. I don't think it'd be a great experience.
Oh, he definitely had moments like that. He would be like,
Wow.
That's how you
clearing
get
his
the
throat.
pathos and
Yeah.
it'll work.
Right? Right.
Get the tears in the eyes.
That's how it's done.
Yeah, I do think it's actually really lovely because at GCA, during the breaks, obviously some models like to keep to themselves, but the large majority of them, you do end up chatting to them. And, when you're painting, and especially if you're not talking to them, when you're painting the model, you're so hyper-focused on things that not that you forget they're a person, but you're not even looking at that. You're like,
Yeah.
oh God, this arm, or oh, this looks wrong, or this, you're looking at shapes and you're looking at different things. But when you're speaking to them, and I do love to chat every now and then, and you hear the kind of stories they have, and some of them, like you said, have been doing figure modeling their entire lives, and that's their job. And they were somewhere in the morning, they're here in the afternoon, and they'll be somewhere else tonight. And it's such dedication, and you know, they're so valuable. They play such an important role because, like, who are we going to be drawing and painting if we don't have figure models? You know.
Yeah.
That we owe a lot to every single one of them who have chosen to take this path, because, you know, I could not do it myself, you know. Oh, little fly. What is that?
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh yeah, it's a little fly.
What are those type of bugs? I don't know. Like,
I
the
have
ones
no
that have
idea.
the little. I wonder, maybe someone in the chat knows.
It's on my palette right now. What
Oh,
is
really?
that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like,
It's not a mosquito.
I don't know.
It's like a.
It's almost
We're going
like
to take a quick break on all the. No, just
Oh, it's
kidding.
like fuzzy. Whoa.
it's like a tiny moth, actually. Oh, it's gone. It's
Oh, it's
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like fuzzy, but very small.
We accept all kinds for our GCA family. You know, all types of.
I don't mind.
Oh, he's on you now.
It does look like a moth. It's like fuzzy.
It does look like a baby moth.
Maybe it's a
I think
baby.
everybody and on the audience right now is very curious about what this,
Oh,
this
really?
little
Will I
creature
bring it
looks
up
like.
to one of the cameras, actually? It's on my hand. Can you see
that's-
that?
Well, you probably
Oh,
could, but
put
you'd
it
have to
on my-
bring
oh,
it.
yeah, put it
bring
over
it
here.
all the way.
Right
There
there.
you go. Hold on just a second. We're gonna bring in a close-up
She
shot
likes
here.
you.
It's tiny,
So.
actually.
Look at that.
Oh.
This is the kind
I
of
promise.
content.
Yeah, exactly. It's not funny. I bet everyone's very curious about it, though.
Yeah.
I promise we don't have exposed trash in our studio.
I really do think it's some type of moth. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's fuzzy, like.
A bug?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is it cute?
It's
kinda
actually cute, yeah. The wings are little, like, iridescent wings.
It's really little.
It is little,
It
yeah.
likes you a lot.
I know. I think it is moth. Maybe I'll go into that room, or I don't
Just
know.
like
Yeah, I'll put him over here.
blow
Maybe
him.
he can sit on him.
On this
on him.
There we go.
We have another special guest tonight.
yeah, exactly. So speaking back on the models, though, there is a legend in New York of a gentleman by the name of Santiago who was with GCA, probably still is.
Oh, yeah, he still is.
He is
Still is.
an incredible model who has dedicated himself to being a part of all of these artists' journey. You know, his whole purpose in his like why is to like dedicate himself to be able to create some of the great artists of today.
Wow.
So he's just an incredible model. So shout out to Santiago. What a great guy.
Should give him a round of applause.
Oh, I should. We're going to give Santiago a round of applause.
Yeah, we can't hear it, but they can.
That's hilarious. I love that.
So if there are any GCA people watching, you got to make sure Santiago tunes in for just this part on the YouTube channel. So Fina, now that your journey at GCA is ending, what kind of work what are you inspired to do with your work in the future? Like, what are some of the fun thoughts and directions? Are you wanting to take things like narrative oriented and stay in the figure world? You know, have you given it much thought?
I have given it thought, but I think, like most things, you have to put thought into action and try things out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best way because, you know, of course, you know, it's just like, you know, when you can read all the books you want about art, but you actually have to go and draw and paint, to learn how to apply all those things you've learned. And I think for me personally, I would really love to explore narrative painting. It's always like painting for me has always, and drawing, like art in general, has always been a very like, I feel like it's difficult to pick the specific word I'm trying to think of. Is it spiritual? Is it a passion? It's more than a passion. It's always like, I've always felt like art is the direction for me, and I've always felt like it's such a constant in my life. And I also find a lot of comfort in the fact that it's something that I can keep learning, and I'll keep growing, and I can keep doing art for the rest of my life. And I will never, like, it will never end. You could never finish learning it, you know. I really do love that. And I think I really want to be able to create like really beautiful narrative scenes that, you know, that I kind of connect with, and maybe like reflect on experiences I've had in life, or with people that are close to me, or even memories that I have. I think I'm not even entirely sure myself to phrase it, but it's along those kind of lines. I really want to learn how to describe that, how to begin creating those types of worlds in a painting. Yeah, that's the main thing. And obviously, I think definitely figurative. I love drawing and painting people. I really do. But because I haven't really even explored, you know, anything else, if I'm being honest. I started using oil paints and painting like seriously in September when I started my second year at GCA. So I really do not have a lot of experience. And I find that for me, it was quite exciting because it was daunting, definitely, because I was like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. And you don't have any of those preconceived pressures of, oh, this should look good, because I know it can't necessarily look good because I'm learning. And it's quite freeing to have that, because I feel like when I went into my drawing year at GCA, I'm entirely self-taught. Like, I've not gone to like any type of other ateliers or art schools, apart from obviously that 1 year of art university that I did. But I can tell you for a fact I did not do any drawing during that year, so let's just exclude that. But yeah, it's quite, compared to the drawing year, which I obviously had done a lot of drawing, and I had a lot of ideas of like, my drawings should look good. And I think it's quite interesting because you go through quite a steep learning curve of, to describe it, I feel like your eye develops faster than your skill. And you start seeing more and more mistakes, and I feel like your hand and your brain takes a lot longer to catch up. So it feels very frustrating. It feels like you're not making any progress. But it's just, you know, that's why it's important to take photos of your work, and, you know, to look back on them and to think, oh, I have grown, you know. And I feel like you're always also going to have bad days and stuff, because they're part of the journey. I try to never be too hard on myself when I'm having a really bad day. And I was talking to everyone earlier about this, that I feel that, like, you know, if you have a day full of failures, that's one day less failures you're going to have in the future. And you need to fail a lot in order to learn things. That's just part of it. So I'm sure, you know, there's going to be a lot more of that as I'm progressing and learning more. But I'm really excited to explore that, because it feels like an ocean. It's vast. There's so much for me to explore and to grow. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. You know, something we talk a lot about is failing forward here, you know, where failure is baked into success, and there's the only way to really get where you want to go is through. So I love that.
painting is really such a learn by doing practice. I think there's obviously some things that you can read about and watch, but there's so much that you have to do, and just being present to your process and just keep working and keep learning by doing, not letting the fear of failure
Yeah.
inhibit you from getting miles behind the easel, right?
Yeah. So many people have a hard time even starting for fear that they're going to fail. And so it's one of those processes of just doing and just being okay, because every time you fail, I don't know if any of y'all have read the book Mastery, but it talks about where the point at which we get the most frustrated is the point at which our minds and brains are connecting heavier neurons together, or stronger links in our neurons. So we have one of the strongest amount of learning processes when we are at a point of being so uncomfortable that we're frustrated. So, reveling in that pain in a way, as hard as that sounds, is one of the best things you can do, So,
Or at least using it as a signal that you're on the right path
yep.
Yeah,
and not a reason to quit.
Yep.
absolutely. Like, I really do think that you should, as much as you can, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Of course, it's horrible, and you have days where you're just like, oh, this looks bad. Everything I'm doing just looks terrible, and it objectively looks really bad, and you're just like, oh, this does not look good. But you have to, I think, as much as you can, become comfortable with failure and learn to have like processes to deal with it, and when you have those days, to get through them, and not to get so frustrated and worked up about it, because it's very easy to do that, and it's also natural to do that as well. Like I just find that's helped for me personally. Not being afraid to fail, and kind of welcoming it as part of the learning journey, as frustrating as it is, but it's just bound to happen, that kind of way.
Yeah, and not taking it personally.
Absolutely,
Like, as
yeah.
it's not a reflection of who you are as a person.
Yeah. So much of our identity seems to get tied into our painting world that it's hard to sometimes unstitch the two and realize that what we're doing on the canvas isn't necessarily about who we are, and getting frustrated ourselves because of it. Michael Allen, by the way, says progress, not perfection. So, and Emily Fossum says the likeness is really coming out. Love these ladies.
Oh, Emily's so sweet.
What's our time?
We have 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
That went by very fast.
Sure it is.
And if you're wanting to know the time on the clock, it is literally about to turn 8 o'clock. So
Okay.
there's 1 hour left.
Wow.
Let's see if you have eyes by the end of it, Evie. We will see.
Michael Allen says, if you could only have 6 colors on your palette for the rest of your life, which colors would you choose?
Well, we can get the easy one out of the way and say some form of white.
Yeah.
Um,
Transparent oxide red. Definitely. Ultramarine blue. That'll get you a nice dark.
It's a tough one.
So I'm using basically 6 colors for my portrait
Oh,
right
there
now.
you go.
There you go.
So I have ivory black, English red, or sorry, let's go from this way. Ivory black, cobalt blue, English red, vermilion, yellow ochre, and white. So you can do a lot with different skin tones with this palette. It's what I used when I was a student in Florence. And I find it's nice when I'm doing these portraits here, because I can't get too caught up in all the colors that I see. I focus more on relationships, which always yields a better result, versus trying to break too much up too quickly, which is my tendency. So sometimes limiting my palette is the way to do it. So this is a nice like full palette that's not too full.
Yeah, it's great. I'd probably do something very similar to the Tainting Primaries palette that I used, but adding, 2 colors to it. So, which would have been white, lemon yellow, magenta, cobalt teal, ultramarine blue, and then probably the oxide red and yellow, because you can pretty much mix almost any color in the spectrum with those, barring a few high chromatic colors, but it'll get you most of the chromatic colors you want as well. So I would only choose that one just because it would give me the variety and option to be able to do a landscape painting, something in the floral field, and would give me the full range that I would need. But you could paint the rest of your life with a limited color palette and still make the most gorgeous paintings, and most people did. So
I do love magenta. One of my favorites. Use it very often in floral painting. It's very useful.
all right, everybody, on that note, we will take a quick break, and we will be back in 5 minutes.
For a minute, I was thinking, where's my palette?
Oh,
All right, everybody, we're back. For a more lively conversation while everyone tries to finish up their paintings. And drawing.
Yes.
Julian, yes, we will be painting online next month. We try to do this monthly. Every now and again, there's times where we will skip a month because I might be out doing a lot of work, delivering paintings or something like that. So, but for the most part, it is a monthly thing. If you sign up for our email list, our newsletter, basically we'll send out a notification when we will be doing the next one. So, and hopefully in the future, we're going to have an East Oaks calendar for people to be able to access so that they can see when we're doing things. Feel the concentration in the room. This is a good time for me to find some really bad dad art jokes.
ask the audience if they have any.
Okay, we want to hear your best, and what I mean by best is worst dad joke. And you get extra points if it is art related.
And there was a really good joke that I heard, and I'm trying to make sure I get the format right. Let me think.
That matters for sure.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite parts of the movie Finding Nemo, when he's like, "Oh, you're a clownfish, right? You should know jokes really well." And he's like, "Okay, well, you know, there's this sea anemone and this sea cucumber," and exactly, the mollusk, and sea cucumber walks up to the mollusk, and, well, he doesn't really walk up to the mollusk, he really doesn't have feet, but when he was trying to come up to the sea cucumber, you know, to the mollusk, and he was going to ask him about, well, actually, I don't know if he was really going to be asking him. I mean, he doesn't really talk much, but and after a while, the guy's like, well, you know, for a clownfish, he's really not that funny. Everybody's like smile just slowly turns to
And
like
they kind
a
of like
deadpan stare.
slide away from him.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the joke. Okay, it was, my dad always says that when one door closes, another one opens. He was a great man, but a horrible carpenter.
Pretty good. That's one of my tricks when I'm doing photo shoots of kids for portraits and stuff, is always have a good bag of dad jokes and knock-knock jokes, depending on the age. So, and it's really funny because some of the same jokes you heard as kids carry over that are still being passed down to be the exact same jokes for them.
I have a knock-knock joke. That was my favorite when I was like 7, that me and my sister would just tell each other back and forth. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Yodelehi.
Yodelehu.
I didn't know you could yodel.
Pretty good at it too, right?
I thought of you.
Why is it hard to talk to an abstract painter?
Why?
They never go into detail.
That's a good one. Since I'm hearing the birds outside, still tweeting away, my concept of time's kind of slipped because there's no
Right.
windows in this room.
Yeah.
How is it still?
Feels like the morning.
Yeah,
So in Ireland in the summer, it's like the sun never sets.
that's true. Yeah, I guess I never really like acknowledged or thought that that was a weird thing. But when it gets to winter and sun's setting at like 4 p.m., it's like, oh god.
Mm.
You know, I guess it's pretty similar here, is it? Well, in New York it is.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on like what location you are geographically in relation to like the time zones. Because I know in Illinois it gets dark at like 4 in the winter, but here I think it's a little bit later.
That's nice.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with some of our birds, you know, because some of them they're quite the, excuse the pun, but they're night owls. And then I'll have that same bird, that Carolina wren, that will get up at 4:30 around that time, and you'll be telling everybody it's wake up time,
Aww.
including us.
He must be really happy about life.
He
Just
should,
excited.
yes. Erica,
Yes.
Scott Jones says, Erica, Scott's rose is simply wonderful. It was on the easel. And it is even more so that it is varnished.
Oh,
Going to
yay.
enjoy this one for a lifetime.
Thank you.
That was a good one.
I appreciate it so much.
Why can't you argue with a cubist?
With the cubist.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
They always compartmentalize.
Oh, that's actually not a bad answer. They never take one side. What do pirates do in their free time?
Art.
They make art.
There you go.
Erica, you resetting the claw?
Yes, I had quite the claw working. So it's time to put some things down. I wish the quantity of brushes in your hand yielded a better result, but it's not the case.
So what is everyone working on right now on their easels? Do they have are any of you able to disclose some of the things that are on your easels you're working on?
Very top secret.
Yeah, tippy top.
I just finished a painting, not yesterday, the day before. So now I'm starting a new one. I did a color study yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well.
I'm working on a larger floral, and I bought from a couple of different places around Raleigh, local growers and a wholesaler place to get flowers. And so, long story short, something seasonal, and I'm excited to kind of create this arrangement from mix of flowers that were in an arrangement, plus ones of my own, plus my imagination, kind of all combined. So it's certainly a challenge, but I'm having fun with it.
Well, I guess for me, it's not as exciting, but well, it's still a painting. I've been working on just my couple of last paintings in GCA. I have one painting that I'm currently finishing, and then I also have a drawing as well. Actually, I have the same pose because I had some other paintings that I wanted to touch up from previous months, like just little small adjustments and stuff that you don't need the model for. And I actually just loved the model, and I loved chatting to her, and I loved the pose. And I also love sometimes when models are wearing accessories, and she had this little seashell in her hair, which was just so cute. I just thought this looked so lovely, and she had these beautiful earrings on as well, and a necklace. So I put all of those in. Working on finishing the painting, and then doing a drawing of the exact same thing. So I'm kind of curious to see how both will compare, because obviously I'm doing them from the same blocking, but things do kind of change. And I've been working on the painting in class and the drawing a bit more conceptually at home, because I did blocking and I kind of have an idea of like how to work with it. So yeah, that's two things I'm working on.
Aww. I can't wait to see those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool to see the difference in how they turn out when the source is the same, but the mood will shift. And
And it was also a bit of a guilty pleasure for me as well, because obviously like I'm learning how to paint, but I just was like, I'm going to do a drawing. It's the last month.
Yeah.
I really do. I love working. I love drawing. I really do.
So we have someone saying an opinion regarding left-handed people. Is it a myth that they are talented artistically? Know any artists that are? Well, I do know several artists that are left-handed, but I don't necessarily think that it is strongly correlated as much as it has been stated. So I think that it just happens to be that there seems to be maybe a small uptick, but there's been a lot of science and studies done on the left and right hemispheres of the brain, because there used to be a lot of people thinking that people were more right brain thinking and people that were more left brain thinking. There's been a lot of studies in recent years that have talked about that the brain just doesn't work necessarily like that there's a lot of crossover in the hemispheres. And also because part of the theory was that left-handed people would think more right-brained because of the dominance of the left hand. So I don't necessarily think that that is absolutely true, but there is, I think, some evidence of saying that there are probably more of a closer relationship of left to right-handed people in the field, a more balanced relationship than there is in the normal population. So those are my thoughts on it.
Are we all right-handed? Do we have
Yes.
any?
Yes, I think all of us here are right-handed, right?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
It's curious because I've actually never heard that before. The whole talent thing about left-handed people. That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah. I think Michelangelo was left-handed. I think he was
Oh.
one of the ones.
No way.
So Emily Fossum says, Erica, I'm excited to see what you end up doing with your florals.
Oh, thank you.
I'm headed to a flower farm tomorrow, bringing my pastels just in
Ooh.
case, but also hoping to leave with a few still life ready flowers.
Oh,
I love that.
That's lovely, and I love the mention of bringing the materials with her pastels, because I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm always whenever I'm going anywhere, I'm like, I'll put some pencils in my bag just in case,
Yeah.
and something to draw on just in case.
Always a good idea. I just need to be more disciplined of actually busting them out, because I bring a lot of things just in case, and then I end up having a full vehicle full of things that are just in case. It's like, I have a parachute just in case, you know. So I'm pretty bad about that. You never know when you're going to go skydiving.
True.
There's been many occasions where I've needed a parachute and I just didn't think to bring it.
Exactly. Emily says, always ready when the inspiration strikes.
Yes. I feel that also because I feel like there's two types of girls. There's girls that have very few things in their bag, and there's some girls that lug around something that's like, I'm gonna say 5 kilograms for people who understand kilograms, but they'll start in pounds. It's like 10 pounds, 10-pound bag every year of them. I'm one of those people. I need one of everything just in case.
Yep. It's funny, even like when I'm packing to go on a trip, you know, and just packing clothes. So Portrait Society is a good example. So it's like, okay, this year I'm not going to bring that much stuff. I'm going to make sure that I don't bring that much stuff. So I go, okay, this is what I'm wearing this day. This is what I'm wearing this day. And I go through that whole list. I pack a bathing suit, in, you know, just in case, right? And then at the end, I see like 5 other things that are still some of my favorite things sitting out that didn't make the cut. And I'm like, well, I'll bring those too, just in case.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what my mood's going to be that day, right?
Exactly.
So it didn't work. I still brought far too many things.
Isn't it better to have it and not need it?
Right?
Yep.
I agree. Emily says, same with the bag. with everything. I'm also the mom with everything in my van.
Oh,
I love that.
I call it the van of requirement because it always has what I need. Bring everything just in case.
Yes.
The van of requirement. What a great term. That's awesome.
she's so cute.
She is that person, though, that if I needed something that I didn't bring or some sort of catastrophe happened, she's probably the person I'd go to for the resource right away, you know.
Yeah. I love people that always have like snacks on them.
Yep.
I feel like that's also really important.
That granola bar at the bottom of your bag.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how long it's been there for,
Yeah.
but it's coming in handy right now.
And it's come in handy a lot of times.
Yeah.
Mine has been replaced.
I always have like a bag of pretzel sticks that I like have everywhere, just in case.
Yes.
My wife, like, she, the best person in my life, but she's one of those people that if she doesn't have food at the right moment of time, you know, there could be a moment of hangryness, and you know, that blood sugar will just drop really low really quick. So that is something that we have both made sure that from now on, whenever we're on any trip, that there is some sort of granola bar, some sort of bar in our packing. There's been far too many occasions where the dark clouds started moving in.
When we were at Porch Society, we went to the High Museum with a group of girls, and it was Millie and Danny, and they're both moms. So what they ended up doing, I think the first day, they walked to Trader Joe's, they bought a bunch of groceries, and Millie brought one of those like sandwich makers or like waffle maker things, and she plugged it in their hotel room. She bought eggs. She made breakfast every morning in her hotel room.
I love that.
That's impressive.
It's really cute.
Michael Allen says, Emily is the Hermione of the group, always prepared.
Truly.
Scott Jones says, should I follow my own advice and welcome critiques, even negative ones, and send my drawing?
Well, no critique should inherently be negative.
Yeah.
You know, critique should acknowledge the strengths and the things that you can improve in your piece. That's what I think.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like some teachers, maybe not the best teachers, but sometimes they're just harsh to be harsh, and they're like, oh, we have to, you know, break you to build you back up. But I don't know. Not everyone resonates with that.
Absolutely, I agree.
Back on the other conversation, Emily says, I did bring my tea kettle and set it up in the hotel room at Portrait Society.
I'm with you on that one. I need my tea.
That's awesome.
That's so cute.
That's actually absolutely my mom too. She is a massive tea drinker. You know, you go to her home and she has 50 assortments of teas, and she never goes anywhere without a certain amount of tea bags that are her favorite. But usually they're loose tea, you know, because the places that she gets them are, you know, I don't know, specific locations where all the tea is loose. So she always brings one of those tea strainer colander little things that holds the tea instead of a tea bag
Yeah.
with her wherever she goes. She now knows that she doesn't have to do that here because I bought all of the things for her so that when she's here, you know,
That's
or
cute.
because we have a lot of people come that are tea drinkers. So we like to have that as an option for them. But she, especially because when she comes, that's one thing she doesn't have to bring.
That's really sweet.
It is really sweet.
All right, everyone, that's break. All right, everybody, just give it 5 minutes and we will be back. All right, everybody, we're back. Now Fina gets to know what happens behind the scenes while the mic is off. We sit, joke around, talk a lot, then all of a sudden we get back to it, get very serious. It's funny because, like, you know, we're all lighthearted, and then as soon as like the camera gets back on, it's like, focus.
Gotta make use of those precious seconds while we're drawing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or painting, I should say.
You know, and you know how I have like the applause and all the other things on this soundtrack, right? I definitely think that it has been so thematic to talk about the final countdown song that we need to make like a little sound bite for the last session of
I
Painting from
agree.
Life.
We'll just do
So let's
something that
put that on our
vaguely
to-do
sounds
list. What was that?
Yeah, we'll just do something that vaguely sounds like the final countdown so we can copyright.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
we
That's
should
right.
do a cover of it. Yeah, we should do our own version.
I can't remember how many seconds it is, but there's a thing called copyright on fair use that it's like if it doesn't go past a certain amount of seconds, you can still use it for fair use. So it might be just that we do the little bit where it's just like, it's the final countdown, you know, and that's it. Or the do-do-dos.
Yeah.
I like the
Final
do-do-dos.
countdown, and then we'll sing the do-do-do.
Hey, I like it.
Each time it can be a different person.
Nice. Liz says each time it'd be a different person doing the do-dos. That's the real
do-dos?
connections. That's the real definition of it right there, the do-dos.
We're getting this laugh happy.
The funny thing is like, if there's anyone that's joining right now, they're like, what are we talking about?
I hope they stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. They're talking about do-dos. So Scott Jones to the critique thing said, I remember watching an instructor ripping a drawing in half as he didn't think the effort was worth the paper it was drawn on. He became a friend for 30 years.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I was about to say something, but
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, never mind,
mean-
never mind.
okay.
Let's just say that's not my teaching approach.
Yeah.
Alyssa says, it's the small details about the people we love, the tea bags they take with them, the snacks, etc. My mom always has a clean tissue up her sleeve. It's always the small details.
Aw.
That's really sweet.
That is such a beautiful way to phrase it. That is so true. It really is.
Like I can think of several right now on
Yeah.
the top of my head. My great-grandmother always had Lifesavers candies in her purse when we were children because she's a diabetic for her.
Yeah.
But she would always give us one or two whenever we were out. And that was like one of her things.
Yeah. That's so sweet. Yeah, I remember my granny, she whenever we'd visit her and then we'd be leaving, she'd be like, come over here. And when like my parents were away, she'd be like, come over here. And she'd always hand us like a couple of euro And-
Oh.
every single time.
I love how they act secretive
yeah.
about it. Don't tell your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Don't tell your mom. My grandfather he always had his pocket knife on him. He was a Boy Scout when he was younger, and since that time, he always had a pocket knife on him. So in any situation that we needed a box opened or, you know, in any reason, and believe it or not, that would come up often. And we'd always go over, we called him Papi. That was his grandfather name. So he'd be like, hey, Papi, we need your pocket knife. And he gave me my first pocket knife on my 10th birthday. And then that was one of the few things that I got from my grandfather when he passed was his pocket knife. So I still have it.
Aw.
That was my mom asked, is there anything you want from them? And I said, his pocket knife. That was it.
That's so special.
Yeah. I think actually that's a big thing that moves me also to create art and stuff. I don't know how to phrase it, but like being in the company of the people that you love and noticing all the different things about them and all the small what's the word?
Mm-hmm.
The small
Intricacies.
details. Yes, that's it. Got tongue tied. All the small details about them, and how much love there is in that. And I don't know. I just certain things make me feel a certain way, and like, and having those memories, it makes me want to create art. I feel.
Erica, Tina, y'all have any details from that was like an identifier marker of any of your family members?
I remember my grandfather would always sneak us chocolate.
Yeah?
But like, for example, before a choir recital in 3rd grade, he was like, here, take this chocolate. It'll help you sing better. Or like, just find a way to be
That's
like,
awesome.
oh, take this. Like,
That's really cool.
it was really cute.
Also, that's very clever of him to like almost like give a sense of superpower to it, you know, because that placebo effect of giving you the confidence because of that really, really actually helps.
It's like giving love in a little edible form.
Yep. My mom always talks about my great grandfather. I never knew him. He passed before I was born, but he used to own a general store, and she has a memory of always going to the store, and he had, you know, those large glass containers full of candy, and he would always give her 2 lemon drops every time she would come in. It was like a fond memory of hers.
Cute. Super cute.
Oh yeah, Scott Jones said my grandfather started what is now the 7th largest credit union in the country out of his lunchbox.
Wow.
I'd be rich if it had been a bank, not a credit union. LOL. I remember him telling that story, which is really, really cool.
Scott has a lot of great stories.
He does. He's a good storyteller.
Yeah.
Everybody's stuff is looking so beautiful. Do these beautiful artists have Instagrams? Yes, they do. I'm going to have to get everyone's Instagram and put it on a caption for everybody. All right, everybody, if you look down at the ticker below, you'll see, I'm going to see if I can like make it actually stay still. So I might do it in a different caption here. There we go. And I'm not sure how to take the cursive off, but hopefully it'll be up there long enough for you to get all
No, leave the cursive.
yeah. So that way all of you can see their Instagrams. I'll also put it in the comments. Michael says Instagram needs to sponsor the Portrait Society conference. I agree. That would make the grand prize even bigger,
Yeah.
which would be awesome.
That would be great.
Honestly, what I would like is that that there'd be a little bit more trickle down that way. So the grand prize might stay the same, but then the first place winners and the second place winners and all of those people might be able to get a little bit more too.
Yeah, what is the prize for like first place? Do you know?
It's like I think when Alex won it, I think he said it was like $2,000 or $1,000 or something. Like it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the grand prize?
50,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And it was 25
Yeah.
until last year. Evie, if you ever wanted to know what like your cousin would look like if she had one eye, this is what you need to see. Okay.
Should have worn an eye patch.
Art.
Next time.
Do y'all want to know how much time's left?
I was about to ask.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes.
Wow.
Oh. Okay.
How time flies when
Doesn't
you're
it?
having fun
Having
Right.
fun.
with good company as well.
Aw.
It's been some really great conversation tonight.
Yeah. You should fly in every month from Ireland to
Oh.
join us.
That would be fabulous. Love that.
Yeah. Maybe we could find a way to like Zoom you in, like a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. We can make that work. We'll figure it out.
It's a time difference. You know what time
I know
it-
between, I don't, if it is this the same time difference as New York?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Then it's
6
5 hours.
5 hours.
Yeah. So it's
Ah.
not that bad, to be fair.
Is it ahead or behind?
Ahead.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So it would be quite late right now in Ireland.
Like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I think so.
Gail just joined and said, "Hey, all, just checking, just catching the end. All the green of Oregon requires a lot of yard work this time of year."
I bet it's beautiful though.
thanks.
It's very satisfying.
Thank you.
Mm.
Nothing like working on the eyes in the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's a bold move if you're gonna like alter anything major in the eye.
Oh
in the
yeah,
last-
why not?
You know,
No risk, no reward.
there you go.
Living life on the edge.
Believe in yourself. You can do it.
Exactly.
I have one. The other one is just a suggestion.
It's in shadow.
Yes.
Fina, did you get the eyebrows in? Just kidding. You've had
I was about to say, yeah.
Looks good.
Danny says, anyone using Vasari?
What's that?
It's a paint brand.
Mhm.
I used to have a few tubes of theirs. I thought they were nice. I didn't notice anything like spectacular about them. And I don't remember their price point either. I want to say they're a little on the upper end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to. In fact, I had one of their. I don't know if it was the creator or one of their representatives come right at the end of my final day when I was on stage and told me they were with Vasari and was asking if I wanted to try some of their work, their paint, and I was like,
Oh,
oh, absolutely, send me some,
can never
Love
say
to
no
give
to
it-
that.
absolutely, give it a go.
What are you gonna say? No.
Yeah,
You're
right.
right.
Free stuff.
Free paint. Ugh. Oh, it's
Really?
And yeah, and that is time, everybody. Woo!
yay.
Thank you, Evie.
Yes, thank you. You did so good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. Yet again, we do this roughly every month. We try really hard to try to stay consistent with it. So I have the camera on all three of you ladies, so y'all can wave at the camera.
Oh, this one?
So, yep, exactly. So thank you again for everyone joining. This has been a wonderful evening and such great conversation. We look forward to picking up with this next month. If you want to know when, we announce it on our email blast once a month. So give us a shout then. For all the people who joined us, thank you so much yet again. And those ticker, on the ticker tape on the bottom, you'll see all of the Instagram pages. So I'll check them out. And with that, we will say thank you, Evie, for modeling for us this evening. And
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much.
ladies, for painting this evening. So, and that is it for us, everyone. Y'all have a very good night.